water system activated. 13 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, main engine 4, 3, 2, 1.
Sorry to just abruptly cut it off there, but we have a lot of show to get to tonight.
A lot of show to get through tonight.
Welcome, everybody, to Ringside Review. We're glad you're joining us. We are live here. It's Monday night, May 7th, 2018. I'd like to take this time to introduce the man who escaped death, Mr. Seth Holbrook.
And I'd like
He's
to...
alive! It's alive! It's alive!
I'm back, and I'm better than ever. Got my Eric Bischoff jacket on and everything.
And you wrecked it.
That's right. And I'd like to introduce my co-host, friend, and partner in life, if you would, the most hated man on Twitter right now.
Just that one time.
Just that one time. Mike McBride.
Yes, the most hated man on Twitter.
Most hated man on Twitter.
We'll get to that in just a moment, what Seth is alluding to. You know what? I should have brought the team out tonight, but I just brought the one guy because it's his first time on Ringside. We have a very special guest. This is an exclusive, fresh off of his main event match on Monday Night Raw tonight. We have from the great northern neighbor. What's Canada?
The Great
called?
White North.
The Great White North. Is that what it's really
Yep.
called? Okay. The Great White North, Mr. Sami Zayn. There you go. Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn!
How are you doing today, Sami?
Still hurting, I see. I'm sorry. Same here.
Yeah, it's well, we're glad to have you here. You are not my favorite. Anyway,
You're my favorite. Hey, I love the fashion. I love the fashion statement.
You stole
punk
his
rock.
hat, by the way.
No, this is mine. Actually, this may not be mine. I think I found it at the ER. Oh, well, he didn't need it anymore.
Seth, tell us, you are alive?
Yes.
What in the world happened to you?
Apparently, when I was at work, I was having an SVT moment, as it's called, a singular...
A senior moment.
Yes, pretty much. The upper part of my heart wasn't pumping enough. So the other part of it, the lower part, had to make up for it. So it was pumping 100 times a minute. Yes, that can happen. And they said it wasn't a heart attack. They said it wasn't a stroke or anything. It was due to stress from work or something. I don't know, but it would have happened anywhere. So
I'd like to think that I brought the stress upon you.
oh, God, I hope so. That or just trying to get to see Infinity War. After 5 times, I finally got to see it. Ugh. Sorry.
Well, we're
I'm
glad
drinking
to have-
ginseng tea. As you can see here, no more calories. Everything is cut back. No more sugar, caffeine, doctor's orders. So it sucks getting old.
You know, I had this, I was telling my wife about your incident earlier tonight, and I told her, I said, wouldn't it be funny if they gave Seth some medication to, like, calm down his heart, and it just slowed down his metabolism for, like, once in his life he got really fat? That'd be hilarious.
Oh, I would do anything to have weight. God, I would do anything to
Did
gain
they give
weight.
you any kind of medicine?
They did. I forget the name of it. Starts with the letter M, Matrolon, something like that. But what it does, it slows your heart rate. Not like it's going to kill. It's just that when you're at high stress volumes. In other words, I think it was an anti-anxiety. And high blood pressure runs on my dad's side of the family. So I got that looking forward to when I get old. So, hey, cancer, F you. You're not getting me. A heart attack is.
All right, so we're going to talk later on tonight on why I am the most hated man on Twitter.
Yes, congratulations.
I made a tweet this morning
no
that
longer
has
President
since gotten hundreds of responses, and most of them negative. However, I did gain like 4 Twitter followers, so it was like a total waste. And I only have like 150, so I need as many as I can get.
Yeah, you do.
By the way, you can follow me on Twitter at Michael_McBride. Seth,
Yo,
we have things to talk about before we get to the
Twitter God, yes,
incident.
We do.
Not only that, we have some things later on in the show we're going to talk about. We are going to tell you what's happened this day in wrestling history. We're also going to tell you, actually, we'll show you our the tweet spot, our patented tweet spot.
That's right.
And Seth, I was thinking, later tonight, let's crown the greatest wrestling food-related product of all times.
I agree with you on that. Food is good.
All right. Let's talk about Backlash. Backlash happened
last God,
night,
man, Backlash. What a clusterfuck that was. Yes, I didn't want to say the F word because we are a family show.
I didn't watch all of it, but from what I understand, Rollins and Miz started out the show, and it was all downhill after that.
Yes.
Because it's almost impossible for Rollins to put on a bad match.
Especially with the Miz.
Main eventing
that should have been the main event.
Time.
Last time I checked, if there's a title on, on the line, that should be your main event, not a match that nobody cares about. And they were changing the camera angles because people were walking out on the main event. That's how bad it was.
That's been all over the news today. Is that during the main event they were walking out of the Roman Reigns Samoa Joe match, and I don't think it was because it was Samoa Joe.
And that's the bad part. You were still hearing people chant for Joe. It just Roman Reigns, man. The experiment is dead. It is gone, man. Vince, let it go. But then again, you can't do it because you don't have a Universal Champion on Raw. All we have is Seth Rollins, who's the IC champ, who does defend that title every week.
Well, okay, it's been well documented. I do not care for Roman Reigns.
I know.
I don't like how he was forced down our throats.
Yeah.
I
gave him a shot.
Pretty much had a lot of things handed to him. Not saying that he's not a good wrestler. Or
I don't know, not at all. I gave him a shot too at the beginning. I did at the beginning, but with this going on, this mandatory Roman Reigns, like, no, he has to be in the main event. You don't understand? He's Roman.
I just resent the fact that they've tried to create, something that should come natural, like a Daniel Bryan came natural.
Yeah.
Just because the fans
understood. He
backed him because he put on good matches, and that's who you should.
He looked like the normal guy, the underdog. Sorry, Sammy.
It's funny. For decades, we've been taught for us to choose who's going to be the top guy. It's been throughout wrestling history, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. They never planned on Stone Cold to be a main eventer,
didn't.
Especially as a face. But the fans got on board. Same thing with Daniel Bryan. Same thing,
CM Punk was the same way.
CM Punk. So the fact that he's been forced down our throats is bad. But having said that, I am going to defend Roman Reigns tonight. As
Good
is
luck.
Unprecedented.
Good luck.
I don't like doing this, but here you go. Last night was all over the news. The wrestling news, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
That fans were walking out in the main event.
Yeah.
I don't think Roman should get that much blame for this, and I'll explain why. For one thing, the match didn't start. We live in the Central Time Zone. The match didn't start till like 5 after 10, something like that. Central Standard. So on the East Coast. By the way, where was Backlash last night? I don't even remember.
Oh, it was in Jersey.
It was in the East Coast. Okay.
It was on the East Coast.
So the match started after 11 their time. They had just sat through about 10 or so matches, including the dark matches and the pre-show, whatever. Yeah. So people were just exhausted. People wanted to get home. People had worked in the morning. People had school in the morning, And then you put on top of that, there was no title on the line. So there's that to factor. And this was a feud that was only set up a couple of weeks ago and is basically fueled by Roman calling Samoa Joe fat. And even if Roman was supposed to be the face, like they're trying to, it's hard to cheer for him when he's calling people fat, So
I know, body shaming. Wow.
It had a lot of things going against it, but it's not necessarily all Roman's fault. I mean, that didn't help things. But then on the flip side, you got Samoa Joe, and everybody loves Samoa Joe.
They
so
were,
just
they,
think
everybody,
about that.
everybody was cheering him, man. Everybody was marking out for Samoa Joe, especially for the fans who were there. That's all it was just Joe fans. It was in Jersey, guys. So it was an ECW heeled kind of town.
Yeah, that's heel country.
It's heel country. So yeah.
One other thing, and I don't know if I have. I should be more prepared.
Mm-hmm. And they did go over though.
That goes without saying.
They did go over. I think it was a Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles match that made it go over 20 minutes. Because by 10 o'clock,
that was an okay match. People didn't like the finish, but
I didn't like the finish. It was fun. It was funny.
I wanted to talk about Big Cass for a second before we get to that.
Oh God, go for it.
Big Cass, and I don't know. First of all, every time he comes out, the camera angle, it looks like it says Big Ass on his Titantron. It's hilarious. He gave Daniel Bryan, after their match, the big boots. Mm-hmm. And I kind of cringed a little bit when I saw this for two reasons. And it's like, first of all, he's not Test. Stop trying to make him Test. And it's like, big guys can do more than that. But also, let's see, who else you got? He was trying to be Kevin Nash every time he raised his fist in the air like Big Daddy Diesel. I want to focus on this because this is apparently what his finishing maneuvers. Because he used to do like the Long Island, the Empire State Elbow, and then he did like the I forget what it was called. It was like the flip thing where he slammed the guy.
Yeah.
Which was an impressive looking move. I don't know why, but I have a feeling this is going to be his new finisher because that's what he did to Daniel Bryan after the match. The problem I have with this is, what's Drew McIntyre's new finisher?
The Claymore?
Which is what?
It's just a drop kick.
It's a single. It's a boot to the face, is what it is. Except he kind of lunges through his feet first.
Well, yeah, but when he does it, I see him now. Now he just he just jumps with one foot, like the right foot, hitting his partner, while Dolph Ziggler grabs him for the zigzag.
But how is that much different than Big Cass's boot?
He lands on his feet.
No,
one lands on his back.
But it's still
to
the face.
Yeah.
So almost the same picture. Sheamus, bro kick. Almost the same. Mm-hmm. Shinsuke, he changes up. It's a knee to the face. Okay?
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan, the running knee, right? Same thing. It's like I'm getting really kind of tired of everybody having the similar finish to their match,
Sammy was hit with his Halua kick. Here. Yeah, with his Halua kick, and it's a good one. And the funny thing is, the one guy who does not have a kick of any kind, he does a drop kick once in a while. That's it though. But it's not a signature or it's not a finisher. It's just one of his move sets. It's Braun Strowman, which I'm really impressed with. Just wanted to get it out of there. And maybe Bobby Lashley. Does Bobby Lashley ever have a like a big kick or anything, or a big boot?
I haven't seen enough of Bobby Lashley. Because I didn't watch TNA.
Yeah.
And I wasn't watching WWE at the time that
when he was
wrestling for them. So I didn't get to see a lot of Lashley.
Yeah.
But did you watch the Shinsuke and AJ match?
I watched it all. I've got it all right here if you'd like to find. Yeah.
I enjoyed from what I saw of it. People have a big problem with the finish to this. I really don't. The only problem I really have with this match, honestly, is that it wasn't the main event. I don't know why it wasn't
exactly.
the main event.
That was it. Everybody was on
ridiculous.
I was on Twitter too, saying the same thing. I said, Brock Lesnar wants to wrestle when he wants to wrestle. So the only heavyweight championship is SmackDown, which is the WWE championship, the real belt. Not like I'm sorry, I don't see Raw as the real champion. AJ Styles, that should have been the main event because that was the main story. So, and it wasn't the first ever crossover pay-per-view with them, what's it called now? It's like, wait a minute. What co-brand, but what about WrestleMania? What about Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, Money in the Bank? Aren't those always co-branded? And another thing, the finish. How can you count it down to 10 when it was a no DQ match? It was not a final last man standing match, or it wasn't a 10 count match. It was a no DQ match.
It was a no DQ match, but
somebody has to get up.
Well, no, you got to keep in mind they can still count both. They can't,
That makes no sense.
Well, it's not a no count out match. It's a no DQ match.
Yeah, exactly. It's a no DQ, which means nothing is you can kick down. Okay, get up. No, this is a no DQ. Not a countdown. Like, okay, no, you can both stay down and it's over with. They just need to know how they're booking. They're booking terribly, and this pay-per-view showed it. How sloppy and how lazy it is. Why? Because the week before they had to make some sheik overseas very, very happy, or some Saudi prince.
Well, they got millions of dollars.
They did, and for that show. And the American audiences, Canadian audiences, or whatever, the WWE universe on this side of the world got we got the ugly stick. We got the shit part of it, while they went over there to appease and overseas.
In defense of the greatest, most bestest Royalist Rumble.
Yeah.
In defense of that, I did kind of enjoy seeing a pay-per-view on a Friday afternoon. That was kind of cool because it's something you never really ever see. So it was something different. So I like.
I was at work.
Backlash. How would you rate it out of 10?
I give it a 4.
Oh, that high. Okay.
Yeah, a 4. You're not getting a 5. You're not getting halfway there. You fail. It was just, oh man, it was just so bad. It was, oh man, it was. And another thing, if I can say one last thing, I'm sorry. The Charlotte Flair versus, Charlotte Flair when she versus Carmella for the women's SmackDown.
For what I saw, I didn't think it was that bad.
That match was terrible. I watched.
Really?
Yes, she didn't have any moves. She just kept screaming. And Charlotte Flair did everything she could to make her look good, and it wasn't going anywhere. You had people in the audience yelling at Carmella saying, "Nobody cares about you. Why are you champion?" You could hear this as clear as day in the front row, and she just like, "Ha, is that all you got? Ha, is that all you got?" And that's it. And it was a weak finish. I feel so bad for Charlotte Flair for taking that pin on her. It's so bad. It was the tweets were on that one. It was really bad.
Well, from what I saw,
it was.
But then again,
horrible.
I didn't really watch all of it, so
yeah.
I mean, it's not like I am in a podcast where we review wrestling or anything. We're going to change gears and switch to another company.
Ooh, which one?
Because people that watch the show like it when we don't talk about WWE, which is interesting. Jericho is back.
Yes, he
in
is.
Japan.
Yep.
Anyway, moving on to our next story. No, I am. What's your take on this?
I'm happy for it. It's great. I can't wait. I think it's going to be was it Genesis? No. They already did that one. I'm trying to remember the name of the pay-per-view.
Some invisible touch. I'm sorry.
It's the next pay-per-view that'll be watching, and I also hear Rey Mysterio, since he's more healthy now, he will be competing in this month's pay-per-view. More healthier, yeah. He's in better health now, better condition than last time, and he will be going against Super Liger. I forget his name, but
I have no idea who this guy is that Jericho attacked, but I don't keep up with.
Well, you don't keep up with it, yeah.
wrestling.
And then this is the one that you will actually have Cody. I think this is the one, Cody versus Kenny Omega.
I thought they had that match already. Did they not have that already? Or I thought they were saving that for All In.
They're saving that for All In. That's right. They're saving it in Chicago, All In September.
I don't
know. Yeah, because the big rumor saying that CM Punk is actually in talks right now with New Japan. That's the rumor. I'd be nice, but I doubt it. I just say he's probably going to show up there for one night in Chicago, GTS, put somebody to sleep in the Anaconda Vice, and then that's it. And then go back to UFC.
I have some questions tonight about Monday Night Raw.
Oh, God.
Because Seth is a real trooper. He does his due diligence. He actually sits through all 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. We don't know how he does it, but he does it. I have some questions about Monday Night Raw because I did not watch all of it.
You cheat death once. No.
Money in the Bank is coming up. This next pay-per-view.
Yep.
My personal second favorite pay-per-view of the year.
Next. Royal Rumble being the number one.
Royal Rumble, of course. And it kind of I'm happy now because for a while there, you remember WWE was flirting with the idea of just dropping it all together. Do you remember that a couple?
Yeah, I remember that one.
And for whatever reason, I forget the exact reason they brought it back, but they brought it back. And you remember that year they had it, and then they had like a ladder. No, they had it was the year they set up the ladder match.
Yeah.
For the world title. But they weren't going to do a Money in the Bank match, and it was still going to be called the Money in the
Bank, and that makes no sense.
It made no sense. But somebody came across, and they were like, "What are you doing? This, this is stupid."
You're naming the pay-per-view. That's not going to happen.
So from what I understand, I'm a little confused by this. Maybe you could clear this up. There are going to be 3 Money in the Bank matches this year, or 5 or 6. I mean, how many Money in the Bank matches are there going to be this year?
I hear it's supposed to be. I hear it's supposed to be 3 or maybe 4. Now, what I think is it's one for the, of course, for the WWE SmackDown Championship title, one for the Universal Raw title, and then of course for the women's as well. Both for SmackDown and Raw.
Okay, so that's 4.
That's 4.
And then they're hinting at a tag team one.
Yes, they're hinting at a tag team one. I don't know how.
So would they do 5 Money in the Bank? That's excessive.
That'd be 6.
No, that'd be 5. Oh no, if they did tag for each.
For each brand, that'd be 6.
They need to keep it at 3, or just not do a tag team one at all.
Yeah, I agree. Not a tag team at all.
Because if they did for each title, they'd end up with 6 Money in the Bank. Don't get me wrong, this is my favorite pay-per-view, but
yeah,
this
but
is
don't overdo
overkill.
it.
This is like having 4 Royal Rumbles in one night. You know, it would just get tiresome.
Royal Rumble and World War, what's the WCW? World War III, and put it together. Yeah, you don't need that. So yeah.
So I'm not sure. So you don't even sound like you're sure.
I know that the men's and the women's, they're having that for their own brands, Raw and SmackDown. I don't know about the tag team. If they're going to do the tag team, what I say is do this. Get 3 tag teams from Raw, or 2 tag teams from Raw, 2 tag teams from SmackDown, and let them wrestle. And whoever wins gets the contract on what show they want. Because right now, there are like tag teams just coming out of the woodwork for both brands.
You know what they should do? And I said this last year, and I still think it should be something they try out this year. Have just 2 pay-per-views. Have a Raw Money in the Bank and then a SmackDown Money in the Bank. That's the way. I would not mind that at all. They can split it up. There's no reason they can't. So,
but they're trying this new BS crap about,
I don't know. Maybe,
co-branded.
Maybe do one Saturday night and then do the next one Sunday night. Have 2 separate towns. Maybe do the tag team ones.
I know you don't like.
Here's where
no, you're right.
Ultimately, what they should do, they should do 1 men's, 1 women's, 1 tag. Have you get the choice of which title you want to cash it in on.
What show? Yeah.
Because if I correct me wrong, they've been doing Money in the Bank for like over 10 years now, so I can't really remember. I think it originally was you could cash it in on whichever title you wanted, whether it be the World Heavyweight, ECW, WWE, or even if you really, for some reason, were hell-bent on the U.S. or Intercontinental title. It was any title you could cash it in on.
You're right. They did that.
I think that's what they should do. I think you should be, and you should be targeting either the Raw or the Universal or the WWE.
Yeah, and have it 2 days. But the thing is, like, you got to remember one thing. I agree with you. That's a good idea, but we're going back to the federation you don't like, the New Japan. They do that. Every pay-per-view, whether it's tournaments, whether it's like stipulation matches, it's a 3-day event or a 2-day event, which is great and all. But Vince would be like, no, we're not going to do it that way. We're going to do it this way because we're the ones who started it. That's just how it was. It's just a clash of ideas. But I agree with you on that. It would be okay. They just don't look at the bigger picture. I'm sorry.
We're going to find out more.
Yeah.
In the weeks to come. Question for you. I did not watch the Bobby Lashley interview. It was all over Twitter that it was some kind of just terrible. What did you think of Bobby Lashley tonight?
I like Bobby Lashley, and growing up, in a military family, my dad's military, mom military, all that other stuff. I mean, I understood, yes, he did this and this, and he served his country. And Bobby, you're awesome. You're amazing. It's just that what really makes me mad is that you're going to always be a mid-carder, and it sucks. To me, you have championship written all over you. And maybe we'll get a different program when it's you turn heel or maybe Braun Strowman turns heel. Not likely. Like Battle of the Giants at SummerSlam. I wouldn't mind that happening. But,
Man, I really wish I would have unmuted the microphones. I'm just kidding.
Oh, my God. Tell me you didn't do that. Oh, I would have been so angry. Oh, God.
Well, should we talk about the thing?
What, Raw? Which thing? Which one?
No, the men versus women wrestling controversy.
Well, let's do that because remember, it just takes 3 minutes to go to do my Raw thing. So go for it, Mike. you have, you have the stage.
I have the stage. Okay.
Tell them.
Well, earlier today, Seth, I
Boring.
exactly. There was a tweet sent out from Matthew from Botchamania, and he either retweeted or commented on, I can't remember, a British wrestler. I'm not going to say his name because it's not worth repeating. And he was in a match. In the clip in the match, he was wrestling a female. It was a male wrestling a female, and he tried to powerbomb her through a table, and it didn't work. So they tried her. It probably didn't work because she's, a woman and not that heavy.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to have some
Weight behind
to
it.
you to destroy a table.
Yeah.
So that tells you how smart that was to even try that. So I responded with, "Attention, male wrestlers." I don't have the exact tweet, so I'll just paraphrase for you. "Attention, male wrestlers. Don't wrestle women. It makes everyone look bad. It kills kayfabe. And
Makes you look like a bully.
embarrassing. It's embarrassing."
Yeah.
Now, just so people aren't confused, and by the way, this is me speaking. I'm not speaking for anyone else on this show or in this network, okay? I'm not going to throw anyone else. By the way, happy birthday, Dustin, who owns this studio.
Oh, Dustin, happy birthday. I had a heart attack last week.
Yes.
I could have missed Infinity War.
Yeah. So let me explain to you, and this is so frustrating that I have to explain something that's common sense, and that's this. Men should not be in physical competition against women where they face each other one-on-one, especially in a fighting scenario, whether it is legit or simulated. It just shouldn't happen. There's reasons why. Before you get upset, because, I was reading an article a few weeks back about why some people never, especially Trump supporters, never seem to, believe anybody else but Fox News. Even though everyone else in the world is telling them, you shouldn't trust this guy, but they believe. It's this thing of where they sort of resent the person telling them this, and they sort of double down on their beliefs. I believe this is true in not just politics, but in lots of things. And this being a case where my words will fall on deaf ears for some people. But just please hear me out. That's all I ask. There's a few reasons why men wrestling women is a really bad thing. And there's articles online that also talk about why men shouldn't, face women. But in wrestling, there's an added layer to it. And I'll explain. First of all, you should not be in favor of men hitting women. That should be a given.
Yeah.
You should be made to feel uncomfortable when you see a man hit a woman. Whether it's a worked punch or a real punch, you should be uncomfortable when you see that. Second, I am a supporter of women's rights. I believe women should be given all the rights a man has. I applaud women in their struggle to get equality today. I think it's disgusting what's going on over in places like Saudi Arabia, where women have just recently been given the right to drive a car. They still aren't allowed to compete, as we just saw at the Greatest Royal Rumble. So I'm all for women's rights, as not only, I happen to be married to a woman. Not only is that,
Yeah,
but
there you
I'm
go.
also a father to a woman, a daughter. I have a girl.
She's amazing.
So I'd be stupid not to want to see her succeed.
Yeah.
And be given equal chances. However, and this is not me being sexist. This is not me being, whatever. This is me just telling you the truth. And when it comes to physicality, men would dominate women. Physically, it's just it's the truth. It's not. I'm saying it's right or wrong, whatever. It's the truth. you know, and so when you have a situation like this where men are pitted up against women, the man's going to win. I'm sorry. There are exceptions to the rule, like China and Awesome Kong or whatever. Yeah, they're beasts, but you got to go back to the first thing I said. It's still, even if it was China, Nicole Bass, whatever you want to say, whatever giant, it should still make you uncomfortable that a man.
Yeah, it should be, because that makes you human. It's like a good person.
You shouldn't, even though China looked like she could take a punch. I mean, Awesome Kong or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It should still make you uncomfortable. With that said, and I asked this question on Twitter, and nobody, it fell by the wayside. No one wanted to hear what I was having to say. I said, go back and look, search the history of UFC. Because that's the legit fighting, right?
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
Why has Dana White never put a man against a woman in a bout? Why is that? Why has, as dominant and as a monster as Ronda Rousey was supposed to be in UFC, why did they never put her up against a man?
Like Conor McGregor, something like that.
Not even that. Like just one of the guys off of their reality TV show. Somebody that's...
Well, you forget, majority of these guys, and the majority of these guys have anger issues, and they wouldn't stop. Even if you're right, it would make you feel. It would make me feel uncomfortable.
I can't speak exactly for Dana White, but I can theorize that, for one, he didn't do it because it's uncomfortable to watch a man hit a woman, and secondly, he knows that a man would dominate against a woman. It's just the truth. It's an ugly truth, but it's the truth. There's, men have testosterone going through them. Men have, the muscle and genetics, going toward them. You cannot like what I'm saying all I want, but you cannot deny that truth.
Yeah. All
right. So therefore, you should not do this in wrestling, because you should never do anything in wrestling that couldn't happen in real life.
The whole thing, like Jim Cornette said.
Like a snake charmer match.
Yeah.
Or using the force.
Or using your penis.
You've seen the using the force match where the guy's force chokeslam. It's embarrassing.
Yeah. Or what's his name? Using his crotch.
Joey Ryan with the dick spot. Things that could never happen, you should not do. Now, some argued with me on this. I said, well, why can't we do it? And I said, well, because it kills kayfabe. Kayfabe's been dead for years.
Then why are we still watching wrestling?
Exactly.
Then why are we still watching? Why are you still watching it?
What's the point?
What's the point
of watching this? If kayfabe's dead, then if I'm a wrestler and I believe that way, I'm just going to bring a knife to the ring. Why not?
Why not? Kayfabe's dead, like you said, so I can do whatever I want.
I said...
It's like Roman Reigns hitting those three marshals.
I said something along the lines of, because at that point, it's just a play. Mm-hmm. When you're doing fantasy and ridiculous things that couldn't happen in real life. And you know what the response was for that? Wrestling is a play. What do you think would happen if you went up to Terry Funk and told him that wrestling is a play?
I'd get my ass kicked. By a grumpy old man. I'd get my ass handed to me by Terry Funk.
Another ridiculous argument was, well, it's kind of funny somebody that's not even in the business telling somebody in the business how to do their job. Well, for one thing, I trained for 9 months taking bumps and getting my ass kicked to become a wrestler.
You wrestled, you reffed, you did it all.
I stopped mainly because of neck injuries. And then I had a pinched nerve, so and it's all sorts of injuries.
Yeah.
And I just walked away. I didn't want to do it anymore. And then you want to get more of my resume, I'll tell you that I was a referee. Not only was a referee, I was also a manager, and then ultimately a ring announcer. And I produced shows for the local wrestling promotion here in town. So that said, none of that matters, because it's ridiculous to say, well, you're not in the business, you shouldn't have an opinion. I have common sense. That's all anyone needs. It is common sense that a woman should not be able to attack a man. Now, I had this personally happen, this situation, last year's WAW show. Chad, I love you. And, I'm here to support you, and I'm here to support WAW if it ever comes back or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to support live pro wrestling in any form when it comes to the city of Waco. Or Mr. B's promotion, which is outside of Waco. I mean, I'm here to support. That's what I'm saying. Local wrestling. However, when Chad, presented me with the idea of he wanted the main event to be a 400-pound monster versus a 125-pound woman, I told him straight up no, and I didn't want to have anything to do with that. Of course, it was changed around, and then it was changed back. But there was a reason I didn't want that. And the two competitors involved, Brent and Peyton, I love those guys. They are awesome. If you run a wrestling promotion, you should try to book either one. Peyton just became a mother recently, by the way. Congratulations, Peyton. But you got to understand, Peyton, that 400-pound monster would kill you, okay? I know you've trained, and I know you can wrestle, but we're being realistic here. The reason why it's dangerous and it kills the business is this. I thought of a parallel to this earlier today. Remember The Simpsons? Remember that show called The Simpsons that used to come on? You remember back in the early 90s? It was like the greatest show on TV. It was hilarious.
Homer was a better father. Yes, the Dr. Huxtable. Continue.
And The Simpsons nowadays, it's not great. It's still on the air. It's still going strong.
Not a great show, though.
They've gone from having millions and millions and dozens of millions of viewers to a fraction of that.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a video one time where they pinpointed the exact moment that The Simpsons went downhill. And it was the episode where they revealed Seymour Skinner wasn't really Seymour Skinner, and he was Armin Tamzarian or something
Yes,
like
Armin
that.
Tamzarian, yes. Oh, I hate
real
that episode.
Seymour came back.
Yeah, I hate that episode.
And then at the end of the episode, they said, we'll never speak of this again. And the YouTuber I saw pinpoint this as the worst episode, or the turning point, was he said they were basically telling the fans, everything you just saw for the past 12 or whatever years it was doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Now, The Simpsons can be silly. The Simpsons, you can say, don't even take them serious. But when you tell the fans none of this really matters, you shouldn't care, guess what? People don't make it a priority to watch something they shouldn't care about. And then that's when they started losing their viewership. And then gradually it turned into what it is now, and it's just a non-funny animated show that's just pitiful. It's got its hardcore fans that still watch, but they're a fraction of the millions and millions who used to watch. And that is what I fear is going to happen to wrestling, because when you have men versus women, you're basically telling me it doesn't matter. You shouldn't care so much. You should suspend your belief, because we can have things like men on equal ground as women. We can have things like the Force being used. We can have things like the dick spot. When you tell us we shouldn't take wrestling seriously, we shouldn't care about it, then we're not going to make a priority to watch it. When we don't make a priority to watch it, that means we stop watching. That means shows don't get put on. You tell me not to care, then I'm not going to buy a ticket to the next show. I'm not going to watch Monday night. So then shows start getting canceled. Live shows become fewer and fewer. You know what happens when, and it's a chain reaction, live shows become fewer and fewer, less performers are required.
Yep.
Therefore, not as many wrestlers get hired, and there's fewer wrestlers. And when there's fewer wrestlers, there's less talent. And
and that
we
happened.
get less talented wrestlers. So then we're stuck with lousy wrestling. Why? Because at one point you told us not to care. And that's why I care. Now, of course, I got hit with, oh, he's an idiot. He needs to shut up. The best response, it was the funniest, the most telling response I got on Twitter was I posted an article someone wrote about why men should never wrestle women. And somebody wrote, I'm not going to click on your link, or I'm not going to read your article. And it was like liked a bunch of times. How dumb is that response? Because you're basically saying, I'm so insecure with my beliefs, I'm afraid you're going to sway my judgment. And of course, I had the particular British wrestler say some very vulgar and nasty things about me, to which I was very respectful toward him at all times. I said, you know what? I don't think you're necessarily angry at me. I think maybe you're a little misdirected anger. I think maybe you're angry at yourself because you're kind of realizing you're doing something that's hurting the thing you love, and that is having these sanctioned men versus women. And for the people that said, well, what about WrestleMania? The best moment of WrestleMania is when Triple H wrestled Ronda Rousey. You are missing the point completely. That was not booked as Triple H versus Ronda Rousey.
No, it wasn't.
That was a mixed tag that broke down. And you know what? Triple H went after and attacked Ronda. You know why? Because he's a heel. And guess what? Attacking a woman is probably the most heelish thing you can do. That's what was going on there. This was not it. And other people say, well, you're going to hate it later on this year when Captain Marvel's fighting male villains or whatever. And I was thinking, that's a movie, right? There's a difference between a movie and a wrestling show. And they're like, what's the difference? They're both scripted. I was just dumbfounded that you'd have to explain something like that.
Oh my God. It sounds like people who watch Fox News and believe it.
I humored them, and I said, well, let's say Ronda Rousey versus Triple H, if you book that match, is Triple H trying to murder Ronda Rousey like these aliens are with Captain Marvel? No. Then it's completely different. It's not a sanction. Captain Marvel is not going like, okay, we're going to have a sanctioned match between
me and Thanos.
We're going to meet on the 13th or whatever. And it's just like, no. It's so stupid and it's so embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I am sick as a wrestling fan having to constantly defend wrestling when there is stupid stuff like this going on. People, fair weather fans, casual fans, even non-fans, they tune in, they see stuff like this. They see stuff like this that goes on Lucha Underground. And we've been over Lucha Underground before and all my problems with that, where they have Sexy Star won their world title. They had people dying and coming back from the dead. They had a person that was like a vampire that was like hundreds and hundreds of years old. Ridiculous stuff that couldn't happen in real life. It's garbage. They should have veteran wrestlers somewhere in the back and just drill into them why they shouldn't do this. I should not have to explain to anybody why this is a bad thing. It should be common sense. There's a reason WWE stopped doing this 15 years ago. That's the other explanation they have. Is, they used to have China versus... That was more than 15 years. That was 17, 18 years ago they were doing that. And they've learned their lesson. You know what else they're not doing anymore? They're not doing chair shots to the head because they know better. You know what else they're not doing? They're not having Mae Young giving birth to hands because it's stupid.
And she's passed on.
And it's insulting. They're not having people like Triple H in a cane mask simulating rape.
Oh, God, yes.
Not everything in the Attitude Era was golden. There were some bad ideas.
There's no more blood as much as they can, but there's no more hardcore matches.
Beaver cleavage.
Oh, God.
Not everything was good. So therefore, saying it happened in the Great Attitude Era is no defense.
This we're talking about now. I understand. And you forget the majority of the people that were just talking to you, that were tweeting you, they were like, what, 19, 20-year-olds, right?
They're marks.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Most of them British. But
you didn't have Jay Hunter or anybody try to help you out or anything?
No, nobody. They wouldn't do that, But it should be common sense, and it's not a knock against women that train really hard to be pro wrestlers. You guys, you've worked hard, but let's just be honest with us. You should be uncomfortable seeing men beat up women. You remember when they had Nicholas come in as Braun Strowman's
Oh,
partner?
I was so uncomfortable. I was like,
What if Sheamus had kicked Nicholas's face in?
and it was a missed mark.
It would be almost the same thing as a woman. You know, there.
What if somebody missed their mark?
Here's a
Gotcha.
question for you. How much bigger is Alexa Bliss, you think, than Nicholas? Maybe she's got like, what, 20 pounds on him? That's it. So why is that different? You know, that 20 pounds really makes a difference? No.
Well, to everyone's answer, that's why you had the mixed match challenge. But the thing is, it was still your traditional. It wasn't intergender wrestling, right? That's what it's called, right? Intergender wrestling. You know, it wasn't that. It was like Miz and Asuka versus Charlotte and Bobby Roode. When the two guys were going at it, and then one would tag the lady, the other lady would come in, and they would go and wrestle each other. It wasn't.
And every once in a while, they do a spot where
They do a spot where they work together.
The woman like hits the man.
Yeah.
But WWE would never do anything
No.
like the Dudleys putting women through tables again. They would never do it
They
for
never do
good
that
reason.
again.
So the WWE is unarguably the most successful wrestling company in the world, and they don't do it. What does that tell you? Why? Question. Why is there an NBA and a WNBA? Why don't they all compete in the same league? It's because, like it or not, men are just more physically dominant, and it's unrealistic to have a man and woman be on equal grounds. I'm sorry, that's just the truth. It's not being sexist, it's being real. All right, Seth, that's enough. I'll get off my high horse and we'll go
Ladies
on.
and gentlemen, the most hated man on Twitter right now, Mike McBride.
It's embarrassing that so many.
It sucks that you have a passion for
So
something
many- no.
so bad, and then you have all these the younger generation, the next generation, who are putting you down for your beliefs. It's like, no, there's a reason why this keeps going, because so it can go on to the next year, to the future. That's why it's working. But like you said, what about the Attitude Era? That was different times, and that was against that was going against WCW at that time.
Yeah, we've learned.
We've learned. We're done.
All right, Seth, we're going to do
All right.
your favorite segment of the show. It is the fastest review of tonight's Raw in the world. We're going to try to do 3 hours of Raw
In 3 minutes.
in 3 minutes. I have the timer.
I think
right
we're gonna
here
do this
set
very
to
well.
go. Okay, because
Oh yeah.
there was anyway. Go.
There wasn't that much that's going. Are we gonna let
Ready?
Ready?
And go.
Raw is War opening segment. Kurt Angle talked to the WWE Universe about Money in the Bank. Tonight there will be 2 triple threat qualifying matches for Money in the Bank. One for the women would be Ember Moon versus Ruby Riott versus Sasha Banks, and one for the men, Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor. Then Braun Strowman shows up saying he wants a match, and Kevin Owens shows up and says he wants a match too. So they have an impromptu qualifying match for Money in the Bank. Braun Strowman qualifies for Money in the Bank. Next, we have an impromptu interview backstage with Roman Reigns. After that, we have a 3-man tag team match, Baron Corbin and the Revival versus Titus World Slide and No Way Jose. Baron Corbin wins with the end of days and the pin. Next, we have a triple threat qualifying Money in the Bank match for the women. Ruby Riott versus Sasha Banks versus Ember Moon. Ember Moon wins with the Eclipse on Ruby Riott and for the pin and the win. Next, we have an interview with the look back on Bobby Lashley's life, up and downs and stuff, and what his future holds for the WWE. Next, we have a match against Jinder Mahal versus Chad Gable. Jinder Mahal wins. Next, we have a can't even talk. We have Rhino and Heath Slater versus Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. Had a mini 3&B moment, but not to pass. Drew McIntyre wins with a Claymore and pin. It's a pin for his former tag team member from 3&B, Heath Slater. Time to walk with Elias, and Bobby Roode interrupts another match between Elias versus Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode wins. Seth Rollins comes out and has an open challenge for the IC title. Mojo Rawley accepts for the challenge, and nobody cares. Dead reaction. Everybody yelling out loud, "We want Ryder! We want Ryder!" Why? Because they were in Long Island tonight. Seth Rollins wins with a curb stomp and the pin. Next, we have Woken Hardy Woken Wyatt versus Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. Squash match. Winner is Woken Hardy and Woken Wyatt. Next, we have the main event, another qualifying triple threat match in the Money in the Bank. Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns. But with the help of Jinder Mahal, thank you, Finn Balor qualifies for the Money in the Bank ladder match.
You did it. Almost in 2 minutes. I think it was 2 minutes and 1 second.
Thank you. And that's all that happened. Not much happened on this Raw. Nothing.
I want to thank Sami Zayn for holding the timer for us. He shrunk down to a tiny size.
Oh, it's because we care.
Seth, before I move on to the rest of the show,
Yes.
we're going to do tonight's patented tweet spot, and then we will be back with what happened this day in wrestling history.
See you in a moment, folks.
So we're going to, let's see, I'm going to get everything loaded. Okay, now we can go. All right.
We'll be right back. God, I hate getting old and drinking this old man green tea.
All right, and that is tonight's patented tweet spot. It's our favorite tweets of the night.
Mm-hmm.
We encourage you to follow all of the tweets, or excuse me, the Twitter usernames that you saw tonight, except for the British wrestler and that guy who threatened to physically harm me. He has been reported, by the way. So,
Wow,
Seth, we're
that
going to
bad?
look back on this day in wrestling history. Seth, we're going to go all the way back, starting out to 104 years ago.
Oh man, that's when I was 6 years old.
Let's see if I can say this, pronounce his name correctly. Stanislaus Zbyszko won the World Heavyweight title this day 104 years ago.
Was he related to Larry Zbyszko?
I think so. I think because Larry was like a third generation at that point.
So this could have been his grandfather?
Just something like that.
Nice.
Fast forward a few dozen decades. 34 years ago, the dearly missed world-class championship wrestling ran a show in Fort Worth, Texas. That was headlined between Kerry Von Erich, the NWA World Champion, retaining his title against Terry Gordy. Also on this show, some names you might recognize: Tommy Gilbert, let's see, Dino Bravo, Rick the Model Martel, or just Rick Martel.
Rick Martel, Dino Bravo,
Abdullah the Butcher, and Nick Bockwinkel are some of the names you could have seen that night. 29 years ago, WCW or NWA, whichever you choose at the time, that was kind of that funny period where they're kind of, both.
they were becoming. It was Mid-Atlantic, then became NWA Mid-Atlantic and WCW.
It was through
Jim
time.
Crockett, yeah.
They presented Wrestle War '89, the Music City Showdown, which featured Ric Flair defeating Ricky the Dragon Steamboat for the NWA World Heavyweight title.
Wow, I would have loved to seen that match.
18 years, it's probably on the network. I don't know. Wrestle War, I don't know. 18 years ago, WCW presented The Last Slamboree. It featured the New Blood going against the Millionaires Club. It also featured the infamous main event, the triple threat match in a triple cage of Jeff Jarrett, Diamond Dallas Page, and David Arquette.
Oh my
It is
God!
when Jeff Jarrett defeated David Arquette for the World Heavyweight title. It was
it
was a ruse the whole time. David Arquette was on Jeff Jarrett's side
the whole time. Jesus.
15 years ago at a TNA Weekly pay-per-view, Jerry Lynn and Amazing Red,
I forget that,
in a handicap match, won the NWA World Tag Team Championship. I'm sorry, Christopher Daniels defeated that team
Okay.
in a handicap match. I knew I was missing his name.
Jerry Lynn.
I don't know how I got this out of order. I don't know how I did that. 17 years ago was the incident where Perry Saturn threw Mike Bell out of the ring. I don't know if you do you remember this one?
I think I do.
It's the one where Perry Saturn got screamed at by Vince backstage right after it happened.
Yeah, and gave him moppy.
The wrestlers do this thing where if they need to recover, they'll just what Stone Cold Steve Austin probably calls shit canning.
Mm-hmm.
They'll shit can someone out of the ring just so they can, if they got it happens especially after they get hit with a really stiff shot or they need a moment to recover. They'll just throw the opponent out of the ring, and it's never anything malicious. It's that you need a moment to recover or get your bearing straight. And he happened to throw Mike Bell a little hard, and Mike Bell landed on his head. And they continued the match, but it just looked brutal. I think it was a taping for a Jacked, and I think they left it in. And when Perry Saturn got backstage, he got chewed out by Vince. However, I've seen interviews with Perry Saturn saying that basically he did not mean any harm toward Mike Bell. It just kind of happened. Plus, he was kind of woozy, I think, anyway, from getting hit a little stiff, so he probably didn't realize how hard he had done it. I don't remember, but I'm trying to remember because this was 17 years ago. This may have been what Moppy.
This was the reason why.
Because they've gone on record to say Moppy was a punishment.
Yeah, it was a punishment. This is the reason why.
I thought Moppy was an okay gimmick. I mean,
we didn't know any better. We thought, okay, he's losing.
I mean, let's be honest with you. Perry Saturn was never going to be the main event star of WWE. So, I mean, to give him this comedy gimmick, he actually had a gimmick. I liked it. I was like, oh, he's kind of a crazy guy. I liked.
Oh yeah.
He did not put his heart into that because that's all he said was "You're welcome." Remember, he used to say stuff and then he'd go, "You're welcome." Then all of a sudden it was just "You're welcome." And then Damien Sandow years later, "You're welcome." That was his thing.
Oh yes, I miss Damien Sandow. God, I miss him.
Now Damien Sandow, there's a guy who tried to make things work no matter what.
The WWE universe wanted him, and then he got fired for it.
Yeah. 11 years ago on Monday Night Raw, I'm sorry, my mouth is so dry. Edge defeated Mr. Kennedy to win his Money in the Bank briefcase.
Oh yeah, and that's the reason why that was also a punishment from the Mr. Kennedy. Because he worked too stiff with what was the two wrestlers that he really hurt? Besides, it was Edge and
I don't know if he was
Hardcore Holly.
He had like a pectoral tear, so he needed to take some time off. So they gave Edge the
Money in the Bank,
which is crazy because were they really that close to the Money in the Bank expiring? I mean,
yeah, they were. I think
were they? Okay.
Yes, I remember watching that.
Well, if it was during this time of year, then it would have been so.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that happened 11 years ago today. Seems like
it was only yesterday.
We have some birthdays. We have some very special birthdays to
celebrate today. Don't say Eugene's.
Is it?
No, you said special birthday.
Special, okay. He did win the this day in history. I believe it was 1999. I didn't put it on the list of things, but you just spoke of Nick Dinsmore, his real name. He won the OVW championship this day in 1999. That's just some facts that I know, Seth.
Oh my God.
Anyway, we have some special birthdays today. Hercules Hernandez, whatever you want to call him.
Hercules, Sherman.
According to some interviews I listened to, he was legit like powerful with his strength. Like look up some stories about Hercules about.
He was the real deal, as they say.
He was a
character, but he was the real deal.
Will Ospreay, if you're a fan of the independent scene, it's his birthday today. Kevin Owens, it's his birthday. That's why I wore the Kevin Owens shirt today.
Happy birthday, KO.
Sammy, would you like to wish Kevin a happy birthday? He looks kind of drunk there. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know either.
Sam, are you okay?
Dude, he just got out of a triple threat match, man. He got a coup de grace twice.
Sorry about that, Sammy.
Yeah.
But this also would have been the 51st birthday of Owen Hart today.
Owen Hart, man.
One of our all-time favorites. One of our favorites before his passing, and hit us hard when he did pass. And
yeah.
He died in the month of May as well, if I'm remembering correctly. So we're coming up to the anniversary of his death, which
pay-per-view was it called?
It was Over the Edge, and it was the last Over the Edge.
Literally.
Because, I mean, they're not going to name another pay-per-view that. This happened in 99, I want to say. Yeah, 99. So
He was a Blue Blazer at the time.
We were at the 19th anniversary.
Wow.
Coming up to that. But anyway, so yeah, that's those are what's happened this day in history. Rest in peace, Owen Hart. Happy birthday to you. We're going to talk about the greatest. Are you ready to crown the greatest of all times?
Yes, I am. Let's do this. Because remember, when we crown something, it's canon.
That is right. So first on the list, a few years back, oh man, I didn't realize it was this long ago. 11 years ago, WWE, in partner with Saco Energy Drinks, came out with a line of energy drinks, which was funny because I could be wrong, but I don't think it had anything to do with Mr. Saco. Like, they didn't use that as like a tie-in. It was just the name of the energy drink was Saco.
Okay.
So there's that. Of course, the infamous Hulk Hogan's Pasta Mania.
Oh, God, yes.
Which was supposed to be Hulk Hogan's chain of Italian food restaurants. I don't remember this, but they used to have back in the 80s WWF cereal. Do you remember WWF cereal?
Yes, I had it.
I remember Mr. T had a cereal. I remember C-3POs. I remember lots of... I do not remember
All
WWF
it was
cereal.
Captain Crunch or Mr. T cereal. That's all it was.
They listed online as a cross between Alpha-Bits and Captain Crunch, that it would still scrape the roof of your mouth.
Yes.
Just like Captain Crunch.
Yeah.
And of course, on the box, who is the other one? Legion of Doom, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Bushwhacker, all posed for boxes. I would like to see some of those. This is probably going to win a lot of people's votes, and that is the WWF ice cream bars, the ones that CM Punk kind of
brought back
to people's attention. I don't think I've ever had a WWF ice cream.
Really?
I don't even know where you'd get that.
They sell them at the live events.
Or they used to. They don't have many. They stopped selling them a few years ago. So.
Oh, okay.
One of the things on the list is all the food that you could have got at WWF New York in Times Square when it was still open.
Oh, God.
But for my money, Seth.
I think I'm going to agree with you on this.
And we've had some of this before.
Yes, we have.
The greatest food-related, wrestling-related food product, that's hard to say, is Jim Ross's barbecue sauce.
Hey, we live in Texas. We love our barbecue.
I remember ordering this and it finally coming in the mail, and I saved it for New Year's of 2000. And just because I didn't know what else to say, I wanted to save it because I was only going to ever buy one bottle.
Yeah.
So I wanted to save it for a special occasion. I thought, oh, New Year's, and then I realized I had nothing to put it on.
So we just I
think we just did little shots of it. I think
that's all we did.
Yeah. But it was delicious.
It was so good. Too bad we didn't have any chicken with it.
I never had quite another barbecue sauce like that because it had like little chunks of beef in there. Do you remember that? And little chunks of meat. I don't know of any other barbecue sauce I've ever had. Little chunks of meat.
JR.
But it was delicious.
Oh, man, it was delicious. It was so
good. In our
good.
opinion, and we like to crown something every week. The greatest thing ever. Congratulations, Jim Ross. Your barbecue sauce is the greatest wrestling-related food product of all time. So
yes.
Congratulations.
Next to the knuckle sandwich. Delicious. Delicious.
Well, we almost did our show in time. We only went over by a little bit.
Because somebody had to be on their high horse. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Sami Zayn.
Yeah, I had to tell everyone how I felt about that. But it's important to me because it's embarrassing that they still have these. It's a growing trend in the indie scene.
Yeah.
And somebody even said, and I could go on and on honestly, but somebody said, well, why leave women off the show? And I'm like, well, who said you had to leave women off the show? Just don't have them face the man. It's that simple. It's embarrassing. Anyway, that's all the time we have for Ringside Review tonight. Seth, where can we see you next?
You can see me next on the ER. It's going to be on I-35. No, I'm just joking, folks. I have my other show. It's called Psycho Cinematic Spectacular. Since I didn't get to do my episode last week because I had my little event there at the ER, I will be reviewing Fright Night from 1985 and about the atmosphere, how it was behind the scenes, as well as upcoming horror news that's going on in the industry today.
If you want to see more of me, and God, why would you? There's going to be a live comedy show. Not this Sunday, because this Sunday's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Happy Mother's Day.
The Sunday following that is going to be the live comedy show, and I need to talk to you about that in just a second. Because if you want to participate, if you think your heart is up for it.
Is my heart into it?
Every Friday night here on the same Facebook page on the iRadio Waco network, we do the Michael McBride Show with Michael McBride. So stick around, or not stick around, but tune back in for that. This has been
Seth Holbrook
and Michael McBride for Ringside Review. Seth,
Yo.
where can I get my own podcast?